Hi, I'm Conductor Mike Barnes. I'm a conductor with the Austin Steam Train Association that operates out of Austin, Texas. I'm here today to talk to you about Amtrak and a few other subjects. How many of you know about the National Railroad Passenger Corporation, otherwise known as Amtrak? Probably all of you have heard of Amtrak. It was formed in May of 1971, formed from the assets of several major railroads at that time who were interested and were actually getting out of the passenger business. Passenger trains in the United States were very plentiful up until the early 1950s. And then with the advent of airlines, jet-carrying airliners, and the spread of the automobile, people moving out of the cities into the suburbs, passenger rail suffered a slow decline until in the late 1960s, the major railroads were definitely interested in getting out of the passenger business. Another thing that contributed to them wanting to get out of the passenger train business was that they essentially lost the ability, the contracts they had with the federal United States Postal Service. The Postal Service switched over to carrying mail by trucks. With the advent of the interstate highway system, the railroads, the passenger trains declining, the Postal Service found it quicker to contract with truckers to haul the mail. Amtrak carries over 28 million passengers each year. Their passenger load has been steadily increasing, and there is still a demand for passenger trains more than Amtrak currently carries. Amtrak does not own most of the rails that it runs on. It runs over 22,000 miles across the United States. Most of these are in the possession of the major railroads in this country. Amtrak does own the Northeast Corridor, which runs from Boston, Massachusetts down to Washington, D.C. And that's somewhat of a unique set of rails in that it runs electric trains, it runs normal diesel-powered trains, both passenger and commuter, and also freight railroad operates on that. When Amtrak was created, it inherited the railroad's passenger cars, all of them. Some of them were very good. Some of them were not so good. Some of them were very elaborate. Some of them were very simple. Little of those cars are still in use today. A lot of them were sold into private hands and are tourist railroads because there is a demand from tourist railroads for passenger cars, particularly the air-conditioned and heated cars. They cannot afford, the tourist railroad cannot afford to buy a new car manufactured to an Amtrak standard. And since they don't run on Amtrak, they operate generally on a different set of tracks, sometimes dedicated only to them. They don't need cars that meet Amtrak standards, but they do like the older cars, so that's where they went to. Amtrak now designs and contracts to have built its cars. Most, as I said, most of the heritage fleet, the ones that belong to the original railroads, are no longer being used. Probably all of you have heard of high-speed trains. Amtrak does operate one high-speed train segment, railroad segment, that is part of the Northeast Corridor. A high-speed train is defined as one that runs in excess of 125 miles an hour. That train, the Acela, gets up to speeds of 150 in one section of the track and 135 in others. Other countries operate trains that are truly classified as high-speed rail, operating in excess of 200 miles per hour, particularly in Japan and France, because they are the two leaders. But other countries that operate them are Germany, England, China, and there are others that would like to operate them. The United States has looked at this, but found the cost prohibitive, and to this date has not built high-speed rail lines. The high-speed rail lines you find in other countries today are dedicated solely for the operation of the high-speed rail. As you can imagine, they cannot operate with other trains of any type, a slower passenger train, a freight train, a commuter rail, or any other type of train on their track. Amtrak operates several different types of trains. They operate the long-distance trains, which operate overnight. They operate the regional shorter lines, which generally operate only in the daylight. And it does operate commuter trains under contract for certain government agencies, particularly in California and in Washington State. It also will operate special trains for major events, such as the Super Bowl, the World Series, a political convention, or some other thing where a lot of people want to go and they find it most convenient to contract with Amtrak to carry them. Long distance trains carry basically three types of cars. They'll carry a coach car, which people sit in all day, even overnight, they sleep on them. They'll carry a diner, and they'll carry a sleepers, various types of sleeping cars. Generally, when you buy a ticket, a sleeping car on an Amtrak train, it also includes your meals. Other people who want to eat in the dining car have to pay for the meal, whatever it costs Amtrak sets. Amtrak also operates a dormitory car. This is for the crew members of the train, because the train has to be staffed 24 hours a day. Unlike you and I driving our private automobile, we stop overnight to stay in a motel, a hotel. If we've got an RV, we stop in a campground, or we just camp out on the ground, as you're doing here at the Jamboree. Passenger trains keep running 24 hours a day to get where they're going, and some of them take that long to get there. They also carry a snack car on most of them. It has a snack bar. It's a two-level car. It generally has a snack bar below, and upstairs is a viewing area. It's an observation type area where you can sit in seats and couches and watch the scenery go by.